Hey everyone, this is Rob over here at BuneBape, and I hope you're doing really well. Today I'll be bringing you all another Valheim guide, and this time it's going to be on everything that you need to know when it comes to mining, and how that's going to progress, and where you should look for all of the different ore in the game. Now I'm going to go in order of how mining even works in this game, then I'm going to progress through each ore and where to get it, in the order that you will find it in the game if you are starting fresh. If you're not, then it's likely that some of your friends have already unlocked these places, so you will be able to skip around. But I'm assuming that you are new or on a fresh start. So, with that being said, we'll jump into the video now, and hopefully by the end of it, you can be sitting on a throne that looks just like this one. So, let's get into it. So first off, I'm going to be going over the stuff that you need to build and how to build them. And this is just the very basics. So if you've already crafted a few things such as tin or copper, then you already know most of everything you need to know here, and you can skip on to the next part. I'll have a timestamp down in the description for a couple of the parts in the video, so you can skip around to the parts that you need. So the first thing you're going to need is going to be the charcoal maker, the kiln, which is all the way on the right, and it looks like a little dome. It's pretty simple. You feed it wood and it spits out coal, and that's what you need in order to start the smelter and the blast furnace. So there you can see, you just add some wood and then it'll spit out some coal whenever it's done. Now, what you can do with this coal is you need it in order to smelt any of your ore. So 99% of the time, you're going to be using the smelter. Now, this is the base smelter that you get, and I'll show you how to get the materials to make it in just a second. But first, I'm going to show you that you should feed the coal into the smelter just like that. Works the same way for the blast furnace. So for iron and tin and copper, you're going to be using the smelter. So as you can see, I just threw some ore in there and you're good to go. As you work your way up, you will unlock the final ore that is currently in the game, which is the black metals. So you get these black metal scraps, I'll show you later, and then you put them into the blast furnace. And unfortunately, the blast furnace only handles black metal. It will not produce any other metals at all. Kind of unfortunate. I hope they change that eventually, but as of now, you're going to have to use the blast furnace for only black metal, and then the other smelter for all your other metals. Once you move up, you're going to have to keep using these forever, because even in the very late end game, you still need iron. So make sure to keep these around, and I like to keep them all in one space. It makes it really simple and easy. All right, so now that everyone is caught up on exactly how to make and smelt some bars, I'm going to show you how to get these stuff in order to make the smelter, and that is going to be the Surtling cores, and you can find those in the dungeons just here. So if you have made your way into the Black Forest at all yet, it's likely you've run across some of these skeletal crypts. Now, crypts can look like this little rock formation here. Some of them also can be found in the sides of mountains or hills, and they all contain essentially the same thing, which is going to be skeletons and kind of a maze-like structure. Now, as you explore this maze-like structure, you'll come across enemies such as skeletons, wraiths, and bone piles. All these things you're going to need to take down, because there's a lot of really good stuff in here, including these little squares, which are the Surtling cores. These are the things you're going to need in order to make the kiln as well as the smelter, so pick up as many as you can. Luckily, since we're already in the Black Forest, we can move on to our very first ore, which is going to be the copper deposits. Copper deposits here can look like massive rocks, and there's a lot of massive rocks in Black Forest, but make sure to look for the one that has the shiny veins running through it. Even when you hover over it, it'll tell you that it's a copper deposit, so there's easy ways to notice it, and hopefully you don't miss it. And I would make sure to mark these on your map whenever you do come across them. The next thing that you're going to be looking for also in the Black Forest is going to be the counterpart to copper, which is tin. Luckily, these can only be found on the riverways as well as the coast of the Black Forest, so they're a lot easier to find in my opinion, and you get a lot more of them. It's kind of unfortunate though, because you don't need nearly as much tin as you do copper in my experience. But you do need a good amount, especially if you're first starting out. So make sure to check all those coastal areas to get as much tin as possible. So the reason I called it its counterpart is because if you're looking for bronze, you won't find it naturally. It is going to be a combination of the two, copper and tin. It'll be a 2-to-1 ratio with copper being in the majority, so make sure to get as much copper as possible. And next up on the list is going to be in the swamp. You're going to need a swamp key, which you get from killing the second boss in the game. And once you find yourself in the swamp, likely you'll see some of these swamp crypts or sunken crypts sticking out of the floor. They look like small little stone shacks. Luckily, there is a ton of iron to be farmed in these places, and they're relatively safe in my opinion. A lot of the times, the enemies that are in there can easily be taken down with a sledge or some kind of mace, or even a bow is a really good option as well. So all of these muddy scrap piles that you see when you immediately get in are going to contain some scrap iron. Now, the scrap iron is going to be your main source of iron in the game, and you need a lot of iron in the game. I cannot overstate how much iron you really need in this game. You need it for everything from decorations to weapons, and the upgrades for some of the iron weapons, even especially very late in the game, in order to make some of the black metal or black metal tier weapons, you still require iron. So you really need to be farming this as much as possible, even throughout the game once you think you're done. So working our way up to a silver, you can see my character is glowing green, and the green will actually start to pulsate faster and faster as I get closer to the silver. Now this is an effect from the wishbone. This is an item you get from Bone Mass, the third boss in the game, and you need it in order to find silver. Silver is probably my most favorite material in the game. One, because you get it by the boatload, as you'll see here. I kind of dig out this silver vein, and there's a lot of it. On top of that, it makes some of my most favorite items in the game, so this is actually really easy to farm in comparison to a lot of the other ones in my opinion, and I really enjoyed it. You can find them in mountain biomes, which are very plentiful in my experience, and all you need is the wishbone. Once you have that, you're good to go. Everything I've listed up to now can be made in the regular smelter. The next thing I'm going to list, you're going to have to use the blast furnace in order to make it, and that is going to be the black metal. So on to our last metal here. Now this one you don't even need a mining pickaxe for, which is great. I actually think this is probably the easiest one to farm, or at least if you want to farm a lot of it, because all you need to do is find goblins. Luckily enough, in the plains, goblins are plentiful, and so every time you fight and kill one, they drop a black metal scrap. So this is what we're going to need the blast furnace for. Of course, like I said, you unfortunately cannot use other metals at the blast furnace, so it does take up a lot of room, and you are probably wondering why it doesn't do other metals just like me, but I digress. This is going to be what you need the blast furnace for, and this will give you some of the highest, if not technically the highest grade weapons in the game, being black metal, of course. So this is going to be the last metal that we're talking about, so hopefully this helps you out some, and if you have any questions that I didn't cover for some reason, make sure to leave them down in the comments and I'll get to them as soon as possible. One extra thing to note is, as I'm killing this tier 2 fueling or fooling, I don't even know how to pronounce them, but once you take down higher tier ones, they will drop 2 and 3 times as much black metal, so that's also really nice. And it is really hard because they do 8 times as much damage as a regular goblin, so make sure to be careful, but they do drop a ton of materials, so that is really nice when you are farming them. Cool, so here we are. Congratulations everyone, you all are now certified master smithies in Valheim. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it for you. If it did help you out in any way, please make sure to leave a like and comment if I did forget anything or if I should have changed something up. If you want to see more content like this, you can check my channel. I already have a ton of videos out now, and subscribe if you want to see new stuff that I'm sure to be coming out with very soon. If you like RuneScape, also check out the channel. I have a ton of videos on that as well as a podcast I do with Michelle, my co-host. So make sure to tune in for that. So thanks again for watching. I really hope you all enjoyed it or it helped you out, and I'll see you all very soon.